Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I would like to share my thoughts on the Whisperwicks, The Labyrinth of Lost and Found by Jordan Lees. This edition is illustrated by Vivian Toe, or Two. Have to say, I particularly enjoyed this one. If you are looking for a book to lead you into autumn, then you can't go wrong with this magical middle grade tale that follows a young book lover named Benjamin Creek, who only likes to read non-fiction. He believes in fact he won't go anywhere near fiction. He needs everything to be perfectly grounded in reality, and you can imagine his shock when a magical puppet comes to life in his bedroom and leads him into the Wreatham world, a world where people all come with a puppet that can transform into different animals, and it is ruled over by the Minotaur, a man that remains unseen, but the town in which he arrives in is also surrounded by the Hanged Men and the Viper. And when he ends up in this world, he meets a young girl called Isabella, whose twin brother has gone missing, and she wants to find him. However, the problem there is that the Wreatham world changes. Nobody is able to map it, and people will spend their days searching for streets that they inhabit, because the world constantly changes around them, and if they go too far, they will never find their way home. This book was creepy while being cozy. It was a discussion of worries that children might have due to parental divorce or loss. It saw children discovering who they were by coming together and garnering a friendship, all while creating a really magical world that, while I wouldn't want to inhabit due to how scary it is, people sell their eye colours, and you can tell the difference between the poor and the rich, because the rich are full of colour and the poor are not allowed to have any colour in their lives at all. But at the heart of this book, there's just this sense that the author is a book lover. Our protagonist, Benjamin, lives in a flat above a bookshop, and our first scene sees him working there. When he goes into this other world, there is another bookshop there, and everything just feels like it's surrounded by the laws of literature. There are so many references to children's books from the last 30 years at least that have been incredibly popular. With the puppets, you can be reminded of the demons from his Dark Materials. The other world drew to mind Narnia and Oz, and specifically Oz in the Return to Oz, which was an incredibly creepy, dark land that terrified many a youngster in the 80s and 90s, and I still think would have the power to do so today. The Hanged Men are such a brilliant concept, as these people who have been forced to maintain law and order in the town that is ruled over by this maniacal leader. It's very dystopic in its vision of the world, whilst also managing to be incredibly magical, and a world that I wanted to see explored. The money that was used, being playing cards, was just such a great idea, because it gives this idea that wealth and money is just such a human concept. I can't sing this book's praises highly enough. The characters were so well drawn for me. Yes, there is something of the middle grade quality there, and so there's this case of bad guys and good guys, but the author still managed to bring humanity to the Viper in something that happens towards the end. And yes, she could be seen as like this caricature of a bad guy who's lording over her authority, but she also felt incredibly real to some of the like political villains that we know in the world today. And then there's the language to talk about as well. Occasionally in this book, Lees would use a word that I thought, is this appropriate for middle grade? Should this be used in a middle grade book? And then I would think, well, actually, yes, because he's adding this enigmatic quality, this sense of mystery to the book. And while I might know the word, and I'm expecting a child not to, they can gain something from the reading of this book. It's a brilliant tale of friendship as well. Benjamin has been outcast by so many of his classmates because of the fact that he really values knowledge and being smart. I can empathise with that because when I was younger, the one thing that I held above everything else was being smart. And so I always applied myself more at primary school. By the time I got to high school, that had all gone out of the way. But you know, we had a lot of grief to contend with by the time I got to high school. But when I was younger, I can remember that feeling. It drew to mind a very specific moment from my childhood, way back when I was in year 5, and my only friend had been off for a very long while poorly. And so when it came to break times or lunch times, I just went and stood by the wall waiting for the playtime to be over because I had nothing to do. And the teacher had seen that, and she forced me to go and enter into a friendship group with 2 other people who she thought were on their own, not knowing that I actually could not stand these 2 other people. I was very assured of who I liked and disliked when I was at school. I liked that it showed that friendship is always something that can be found, and it can sometimes be found in an unlikely place. And I liked how these 2 children who were struggling helped each other navigate the world. It was simply a magical book, and as I say, the whimsy and the magic are exactly what I'm looking for in autumn, and the creepiness as well. It's not too dark, it's not too grim, but there was a specific scene. Now, I have issues with anything to do with eyes, and there is this instrument called the spectractor that can remove eye colour, and when the Viper brings out this instrument, and oh my goodness, I was terrified. I was terrified that these children were going to lose their eye colours throughout the entire book, especially because it did involve eyes. Everything that I like to see in middle grade fiction, it was a fantastic fantasy adventure, and I will always lean towards fantasy adventure when we're getting towards the autumnal months. So it just felt perfect for me. And you know, you still have time to go out and read this book before autumn's properly disappeared and we're into winter. And I really do recommend it. I recommend that you go out and you find this book. If you are a fan of middle grade fiction, or you know somebody who likes middle grade books, then go and get this book, get it read, because it is utterly amazing. At least it was to me. Them's my thoughts on the Whisperwicks, The Labyrinth of Lost and Found by Jordan Lees. I really look forward to returning to this world because it's amazing, and there are a few threads left over, and I want to see how they are explored in future books. It is a brilliant middle grade book that I think has crossover potential and could appeal to adults as well, who are looking for a return to some magic. And them's my thoughts on the Whisperwicks by Jordan Lees. Have you read this book? If you have, feel free to discuss it in the comments below. Alternatively, will you read this book based on what I've said about it? I hope so, and I hope that you also adore it as much as I have done, because I really thought it was a fantastic, whimsical, magical yet creepy book, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. Yeah, basically, I kind of ruined my entire outro there, so until next time, that is all.